So we got a call from the landlord. He says he heard a carbon monoxide alarm go off in here. He checks it, and that's when he finds a running generator and the great Andrew Levesque. May he rest in peace.
I'll bite. What makes the great Andrew so great?
Used to call him the Wayne Newton of fire breathers.
Wayne Newton?
Dankeschön was a very popular song. No? Well, anyway, the guy was a local celebrity at least. I thought he retired. I heard something about cancer, but apparently his cancer was in remission. He was planning a comeback.
Was it skin cancer? Because those lesions, they could also be indicative of Kaposi sarcoma, an AIDS-related illness. But the landlord mentioned carbon monoxide, huh? Generators do have a reputation for that. But in a room this size?
And therein lies your suspicious circs. You guys worked together before?
No. It's our first time. I'll be gentle.
You'll want to question the family when you get the chance. There was apparently a substantial insurance policy on the great Andrew's life. Okay, I'll leave you both to it.
Dankeschön. What a mess. I confess. Okay, so the windows were closed, and the generator was running to power those big spotlights there. With no ventilation and no airflow, the carbon monoxide released by the generator's internal combustion engine would diffuse pretty slowly. If Andrew was standing near the generator for a while, the concentration of CO might have been enough to poison him. Unidentified goo. Always the best kind. Nothing we need to collect there. Human blood. Nice find. Good thinking. If we need to, we can figure out where that gas was purchased from its composition. We need to know how much carbon monoxide that generator puts out and how much gas it burns. Let's take it back to the garage for testing. Whoa. Bartender, pour me another. That vent is closed just like the others, but it's not on an exterior wall. I bet Dr. Vince knows where it leads.
Yes, I know. The detective told me. I'm Dr. Vicente Manoto. I'm the owner of the building. I found Andrew and called the police immediately. It's just so awful, isn't it? I'd say just about an hour ago. That's correct. Actually, I was in another unit when I heard the alarm go off. Yes, I was in another unit, assessing how much of the last tenant's security deposit I should give back. At first, I wasn't sure exactly where the alarm was coming from. Then I could hear it was coming from in here. I knocked on the door, but Andrew didn't answer. I went inside, and that's when I found him. Oh my God. No, I didn't, but I didn't smell a gas leak. Of course, I know carbon monoxide doesn't have an odor. It's just that when I saw Andrew lying there, it struck me that somehow he'd set off the alarm because of all those chemicals he ends up using. Or that maybe it had gone off by itself, accidentally. Frankly, it didn't occur to me in that moment to call anyone but the police. I checked Andrew's pulse. I'm a doctor. I thought if his heart were still beating, I could help him. Other than his immediate family, his wife, and son. I haven't seen anyone else here. He paid me the rent yesterday. Yes, it is. Good luck with your investigation.
I'll call down to the morgue for a pickup. Mrs. Levesque, I'm very sorry.
It's Ms. now, or whatever someone calls a widow. I'm sorry, I just can't believe my husband's gone. Never. Andrew was meticulous to a fault, an absolute perfectionist. On occasion, I would help him. Even Lyle would help out every now and again. Lyle, that's my son. Andrew was his stepfather. I'm sorry. What was I saying? Oh, yes, my son and I would help Andrew a bit, move things around, tell him what tricks we preferred, but for the most part, my husband worked alone. Apart from Andrew, only me and my son. Well, no, our landlord, Dr. Manoto, has a key to the room. He has a key to all the units. No, well, I mean, he was in remission for almost a year now. He had been diagnosed with an oral cancer called squamous cell carcinoma. It was just devastating. The disease, the chemotherapy. He couldn't work, and then later on, no one wanted to hire him back. It wasn't fair. Odessa's 10 days old. She's our miracle. We decided to have her after the doctor told Andrew his cancer was in remission. We felt so blessed. No, none whatsoever. And believe me, Andrew would never have agreed to Odessa if he had thought for a single moment he wouldn't be right here with me to help raise her. My husband was beloved, truly. Even when they wouldn't hire him back on the strip, they were always so apologetic. It wasn't personal, they'd say. It was business. Times were changing. The end of an era, really. I do? We did sign up for some right when we got married. I had completely forgotten. Andrew handled the bills. If you need to ask me anything else, anything at all, please feel free.
Okay, we've got warning signs posted. We've got our oxygen masks, and we've covered half the garage with a giant plastic bag. The conditions inside the gas tent should closely mimic those in Andrew's practice space, and the carbon monoxide detector is positioned about where Andrew's head would have been relative to the generator. All we have to do is fire that puppy up and wait. We should get a good sense of how fast it burns gasoline and how much carbon monoxide it puts out. Care to do the honors?
Okay, that's good. Now come back out here where it's safe. We're gonna let it run completely out of gas. It's gonna take a while, so we should come back later.
David's on his way back. I'll have something for you a few hours after he arrives.
In the meantime, we can finish processing the scene. Maybe talk to our witnesses some more. Shouldn't be tough to stay busy.
Yes, it is. Good luck with your investigation.
We're looking at acylyl-terminated polyether and acrylic sealant, caulk. The great Andrew must have been closing up some joints and gaps in his rehearsal space. Although, I'll tell you, if it were me, I'd have the landlord take care of that kind of work. And who's to say Andrew didn't? It's gasoline, all right, with a pretty high ethanol content. Unless I'm wrong, the diethylene triamine is from an aftermarket stabilizer. Allows the fuel to be stored for longer without gumming up. The blood sample we took from the generator is a match to a Lyle Fitzer. Geez, kid's 18 years old. Look at that list of priors. Talk about starting early and often. But how does Lyle Fitzer know? Wait a second. Lyle's home address matches the Levesque address. Lyle Fitzer is Andrew's stepson. And at some point, he left blood at our crime scene. We should hear what he has to say about his stepfather.
Hey, I'll see what I can do. Show me the evidence. We don't even know if there's been a crime yet, so there's no grounds for a warrant. But it won't hurt to ask him.
And thank my mom. I wouldn't be here if she hadn't freaked out when I said I wasn't going.
I'm sure it's a tough time for her, but we have to ask. We found your blood on a generator that may have caused your stepfather's death. How did it get there?
A generator killed him? He didn't die of cancer? How did a generator kill him?
Lyle, your mother said sometimes you would help Andrew practice his performance. But how would your blood get on the generator?
I got in a fight at school, and I got suspended. Mom said I had to tell Andrew before the school called him. So, last night I went into his rehearsal room, and he didn't take it well. He liked to poke and push as punctuation. He'd yell, and then he'd poke, yell, then push. Last night he pushed me so hard I hit my head on the generator. Hurt like a... It hurt, okay? A lot. Pretty great guy, huh? What do you think? But he'd only hit me when he was bored with beating Mom.
It must have been very tough for both of you. I'm curious, did you ever think about...
Look, I did not kill my stepdad. Believe me, I had every reason to, but I can restrain myself. Not like him. Whatever. I can go, right?
Hi, Doc Robbins here. Just wanted to let you know that I've completed my autopsy of Andrew Levesque. I'll give you a full report when you come by.
Carboxyhemoglobin saturation levels in your victim indicate that he was exposed to carbon monoxide in relation to ambient concentration of about 3,200 parts per million. Death would have occurred in about 30 minutes, but he would have experienced severe headaches, dizziness, and nausea after only 5 or 10.
Who hangs around for half an hour feeling like that?
Well, that's the other interesting wrinkle. While Mr. Levesque's exposure to carbon monoxide was at a lethal level, he was quite possibly already on his way out. Take a look here. His squamous cell carcinoma had spread to his lungs. It's like a friend of mine once remarked, his cancer had cancer.
So he might not have felt much worse than he normally did. At least until he keeled over. Now it's even more important for us to finish our test with the generator. If it could have put out enough carbon monoxide, this might be just an accident.
No mention of it at all. But Mr. Levesque's last visit to the doctor was over 6 months ago, so obviously his cancer went unchecked and progressed rather aggressively. Well, I'm not sure. Look at what I found in his esophagus. This is a 2-part hard gelatin capsule. I couldn't decipher a label, but it could be a cancer-killing pill, or it could be a vitamin supplement. Liver's set, so I'd say he's been dead for approximately 4 to 5 hours. No problems at all. Here you are. I did. There's a white substance on his wrist that I left for you.
You always did know how to make us feel needed.
Also, take a close look at his mouth, the area just around his lesions. There were small concentrations of alkane hydrocarbons in his system, paraffin. Not enough to initiate toxemia, however. I think we've been fairly comprehensive, but if you think of more questions to ask me, I'll answer them if I can.
We'll have to verify it, but that looks like makeup to me. That shade's a little dark for him. More white goo. But is it the same white goo we found before?
Should be almost done. Great. Now let's check the carbon monoxide level on the detector. 1,600 parts per million. The generator didn't put out carbon monoxide fast enough to have killed Andrew. At least not in his gigantic workspace.
The caulk on the victim's wrist and the caulk from the generator are chemically identical. Amniotic fluid? Okay, that's weird. Talk about your alternative forms of medicine. It's a paraffin. With those additives, it's consistent with lamp oil. That makes sense. From what I've read, lamp oil is the least toxic fuel for fire breathing. It's still toxic, just not as bad as the alternatives. Particulate talc and nylon, silicone oil, sodium hyaluronate, and water. Definitely makeup. Andrew may have been hiding his cancer. It's sugar. They say a spoonful makes the medicine go down, but I think they mean along with, not instead of. Maybe we'll have better luck with a different magnification. Pharmaceutical companies print out some sort of ID number somewhere on the meds themselves. We should be able to look that up. It's methotrexate, an antimetabolite and antifolate drug used in the treatment of autoimmune diseases and cancer. We've got a capsule of cancer meds, but there's no actual medication in it. Mr. Levesque wasn't getting what he thought he was getting. We should double-check the tox report with Robbins. He didn't say anything about methotrexate, but we should be sure.
Unfortunately for Mr. Levesque, no. Methotrexate might have helped his condition. It's often prescribed as part of a chemotherapy suite.
Andrew Levesque was killed by carbon monoxide poisoning, but somebody was trying to kill him by denying him cancer meds. We don't have one crime to solve. We have two.
How's the Levesque case going? Did taking over the garage get us anything more than extra paperwork?
It did, sort of. We know that the generator wasn't the cause of death.
Negative results are still results. Is that all?
Well, we're looking at two crimes: attempted murder by medication denial and some flavor of homicide, negligent or otherwise.
Negligent. You thinking of anyone in particular?
I like the landlord for it. There are some generator-related holes in his story that don't fit the evidence.
Follow that up, but get something conclusive. He's a doctor and a landlord, so he's probably ready to lawyer up if he smells trouble. Now, tell me about the medication denial.
Andrew had cancer, no remission about it, and we found a fake cancer pill in his esophagus.
Any suspects?
We're working on it.
Great. Keep me posted.
It leads to the boiler room. It's centrally located between all my warehouse units. Yes, of course. Well, I don't have keys anymore. I have a key card. All the locks here are electronic now. Can you believe it? Pretty soon we'll just need to talk to the locks, am I right? No, not at all. Please follow me. Please, make yourselves at home. I'll be next door, as I promised.
Great. Don't go anywhere. Wow, what a piece of junk. It's gonna take a lot more than caulk to fix this furnace. I wonder if it even works. Looks like one of those vents could lead right to the practice space. No prints there. We don't need to make a mold of that. No trace fluids there. This caulk is still tacky. It hasn't been here long. The furnace still works, though. I think we caught our source of carbon monoxide red-handed. I'll have Brass contact the gas company, get him to turn off the gas. Then we'll process the pipe. I can't believe this thing still works. Look at how badly it's corroded. That gas can holds 5 gallons. It's almost empty.
What do you need?
We think someone may have been tampering with Mr. Levesque's medication.
What evidence do we have? But you don't have Mrs. Levesque's DNA to compare to the amniotic fluid. I know the chances that the great Andrew knows another pregnant woman are slim to none, but still, judges can be sticklers about that.
Yeah. You know, we do have her son's DNA in the system. We can use it as a basis for a mitochondrial DNA comparison.
Great. Let me know how that turns out.
The gas from the can in the boiler room is an exact match to the gas from the generator. Same ethanol content, same stabilizing additive. Amniotic fluid? Okay, that's weird. Talk about your alternative forms of medicine. Yep, caulk. No surprise there. The mitochondrial DNA from Lyle's blood is a match to that from the amniotic fluid.
Yeah?
We think someone may have been tampering with Mr. Levesque's medication.
I'm gonna need to see some evidence before I go to a judge. Mitochondrial DNA is not definitive, but the likelihood of two recently pregnant women matching up to Lyle is small enough that I should be able to convince a judge.
How dare you come back here?
Ma'am, we have a warrant.
I don't understand you people. Why are you doing this to me?
Whole bottle of methotrexate right on the nightstand. It seems unlikely that Ardell would have missed that. It's prescribed to a Jeremy Proxmire. I'll have Brass run that name down. Nothing we need to collect there. Little bit of blood there. And something else. Somebody knows how to make a good impression. Whoa, hold on. We don't want to take that off until the gas company shuts this place down. I don't want to go out like Andrew did. The capsule we found at the Levesque house has the same ID number as the pill Andrew tried to swallow. More amniotic fluid. More amniotic fluid. Wow. Sugar in every single pill. I wonder if the meds were tampered with at the source.
So I tracked down Jeremy Proxmire. Turned out to be a reported case of identity theft. Fed shut down a big phishing operation that was selling social security numbers on the internet. But get this, the only hit on Jeremy's social was a prescription for methotrexate sent from an online pharmacy based in Canada. The identification number attached to the prescription belonged to a Dr. Vicente Manoto.
The landlord.
Now, the good doctor reported a script pad stolen the same week as all this went down, but the coincidences are piling up. What do you need?
We think Dr. Manoto may be responsible for the carbon monoxide in the building.
Show me what you got. That is interesting, but we need evidence pertaining directly to the carbon monoxide leak.
I think we've been fairly comprehensive, but if you think of more questions to ask me, I'll answer them if I can.
And we have a match. So we know Dr. Vince handled the gas can from the boiler room at some point. Looks like Dr. Manoto cocked that pipe. Okay, right now we have two possible scenarios. One, someone cranks up the furnace knowing that the leak in the pipe will flood the rehearsal space with carbon monoxide. Once our fire breather has taken his last breath, our perp comes in, seals the leak with caulk, and tries to tidy up the scene, but instead deposits traces of caulk all over the room, including on the victim. Or two, completely by accident, or what I like to call criminal negligence, the leak in the furnace floods the room with CO, overwhelming the great Andrew. Then someone comes into the room, sees the victim dead on the floor, and decides to make it look like natural causes. In both cases, our not-so-ingenious perp thought we'd think the generator was the source of the CO. And in both cases, I gotta say, I really like our not-so-good Dr. Manoto. Looks like Dr. Vince has a record.
Nevada law makes possession of any amount of marijuana by someone under the age of 21 a felony. So, unfortunately for Dr. Manoto, he was a 20-year-old pre-med when he was busted. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison, 750 hours of community service, and paid a $5,000 fine. And he still got accepted to medical school, so no harm, no foul, right? However, recently the doctor did run afoul of the Las Vegas Housing and Building Commission. He was cited on several occasions for improper maintenance of that apartment building. Here, take a look. Dr. Manoto paid nearly $12,000 in building code violations, and check out his last citation. Failing to upgrade gas pipes, posing a serious threat of carbon monoxide exposure.
Talk about your slumlord millionaire, who's about to be charged with negligent homicide.
Yeah?
We think Dr. Manoto may be responsible for the carbon monoxide in the building.
Do you have enough evidence? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's bring him in.
I don't think so. Those pipes were all in good working order. I don't get it.
We've found more evidence than just that.
I don't think so. Those pipes were all in good working order. Just because there was caulk doesn't mean there was anything wrong with the underlying pipe.
Come on back to my office. We can discuss it. Hey. Sorry, guys. What can I tell you? If it's not the crime tape, it's the red tape. Gas company says they're backlogged and they'll be out here as soon as they can. I'll call you.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, how's it going? I've got something that might be right up your alley. This case I'm working on has some serious conspiracy theory vibes. What's got me stuck right now is this piece of 19th century parchment. I think there's some kind of code in the text, but I can't figure it out. Care to give it a shot?
It's a palimpsest. There was something written on this parchment, then scraped off and written over, maybe more than once. I can see the words, all 7 of them, but they don't make any sense. Seven more nonsense words. Nick's right, it's gotta be a code of some sort. Seven words again. There's gotta be some kind of pattern there. Maybe we should try the first letter of each word from each hidden page. But in what order? That's 5 layers so far. How many are there? Seven colors in the rainbow and 7 words per page of hidden data. Seems to suggest an order in which to place the letters. Let's write them all down. We've solved your parchment puzzle, Nick. It was a palimpsest.
So there was hidden text underneath what we could see?
7 layers of it. And that was in code. You want to know what it said?
Nah, I'd rather wait for the movie. Okay. Please, tell me what you found.
Seek the Star of the North in the home of our glorious leader.
Hey, that's great. I don't know what it means yet, but at least it's something else to chew on.
We know where Ardell's water broke. Different capsule, same DNA on the outside. Ardell's. I think I'm starting to understand how the amniotic fluid got on the pills. Picture this. Andrew is dispensing his pills when Ardell's water breaks. Since this is apparently his first kid, he freaks out in a rush to get her to the hospital. In the process, he drops his pills, some of which land in a puddle of amniotic fluid. Whoa, hold on. We don't want to take that off until the gas company shuts this place down. I don't want to go out like Andrew did.
Yeah? I'll bring him right up to interrogation.
I don't think so. Those pipes were all in good working order.
Dr. Manoto, can you explain to us why, despite being cited by the city, you failed to repair the gas pipes in your building?
You misunderstand. I hadn't failed to repair them. I was just in the middle of accepting bids from contractors. I couldn't very well repair them all by myself, right? Yes, I paid a few fines, but in this particular case with regard to the gas lines, you'll see right there I did not exceed the deadline. No, I didn't touch the pipe.
Dr. Manoto, we know you put caulk on the pipe in the boiler room.
I can't explain that. I don't remember touching the furnace. But if I did, then it must have been when I was checking it. But that would have been several days ago.
The caulking was wet, Dr. Manoto. It was fresh, and it was lathered on. I'd say you should have waited for a professional to do the job.
All right. Perhaps I did put caulk on the pipe. I'm trying to maintain the building. That doesn't make me responsible for Andrew's death.
Let's get serious, Dr. Manoto. You know you were negligent, and you tried to cover it up.
I did not kill Andrew. He was a good man, a good tenant. The man played with fire, literally. Ran a generator in a closed room. There must be something you're missing. No, of course not. The generator was running when I arrived. Perhaps you could explain what that means to me.
Is this a practical joke?
No, of course not. The generator was running when I arrived.
What do you need?
Dr. Manoto's got a lot to answer for. Know what I mean?
No, of course not. The generator was running when I arrived. Yes, I have a gas can. That doesn't mean I used it to run the generator. No, of course not. The generator was running when I arrived.
We matched the gas from the generator to what was in your gas can in the boiler room. Yours were the only prints on it.
Please, stop, okay? I tell you what happened. I'll tell you everything. As I told you before, I heard the carbon monoxide alarm coming from Andrew's practice space. I knocked, but when nobody answered, I used my keycard. Andrew was lying there. I did check his pulse, just as I said, but there was nothing. He was dead. I was scared, in shock. All I could think about was that citation from the city for those damn pipes, and I knew someone would hold me responsible for Andrew's death. I panicked. I got some caulk out and did my best to seal off the cracks in the pipe. I brought the gasoline I had been storing to the practice space and used it to fill the generator Andrew used to power lights during his outdoor performances. Andrew himself gave me the idea. He had told me once that he would never run the generator indoors for fear of poisoning himself. I rolled the generator to the middle of the room, started it, then moved the body under the lights they powered. Then I called the police.
Accidents will happen, but why don't I think we have the whole picture?
I've told you everything I know, I swear. I don't know any Jeremy Proxmire. I think I do have an answer for that, actually. My prescription pad was stolen. I filed a police report.
That might explain how Andrew got a hold of a prescription for methotrexate. But it doesn't tell us why every single pill in that bottle is filled with sugar and nothing else.
Sugar? What? Oh no. I promised to keep a secret, not to cover up condemning Andrew to a slow death. Andrew came to me. He feared justly that his cancer had returned, and his health had already jeopardized his career once, and a public admission of a relapse would end it for sure. I advised him to seek specialized treatment, but he wouldn't hear of it. I genuinely wanted to help him. As I said before, Andrew was a good tenant. So I explained which drug would help his condition, and then I may have left my pad lying around where someone could take it.
Which is a diplomatic way of saying you gave the pad to Andrew and then reported it stolen to cover your own hide.
You're right that I reported it stolen about a week later. But I didn't give the pad to Andrew. I gave it to Ardell.
Hey. I'm gonna need to see some evidence before I go to a judge. bottle full of tampered medication, plus witness testimony that Ardell was given the prescription pad, that should be enough to get her in here.
I am trying to be patient. I am trying to understand how you're conducting your investigation. But why would you drag me down here like this, like I'm some sort of common criminal?
Ms. Levesque, according to Dr. Manoto, you used his script pad to prescribe cancer pills for Andrew.
He's wrong. You have no proof of that. Even if Andrew did have cancer pills, I certainly had nothing to do with them. That can't be true. If Andrew was taking medication, I would have known. I was never aware of any pills. What are those? If those pills were in our house, I certainly never touched them. I was never aware of any pills. I was never aware of any pills.
We found your DNA on Andrew's pills, Miss Levesque. You must have known about them.
Oh my God, I can't explain it.
You can't, or you won't?
Okay, look, I knew about the pills, yes. I knew that his cancer had come back. But what were we supposed to do? Andrew could hardly find work when people thought he was in remission. How was he supposed to support us if people knew his cancer had come back? Dr. Manoto was kind enough to help us, even though he could have lost his license.
Dr. Vince's Heart of Gold doesn't explain your amniotic fluid on the pills.
No, it doesn't. That was something else. Andrew didn't like me to see him take his medicine. He said it made him feel weak. The night Odessa was born, I approached him in the bedroom. I guess I didn't realize he was about to take a pill. I surprised him, and he turned around and pushed me, spilling his pills on the floor. He stormed out. I don't think he even realized that the fall made me go into labor. Tamper with them? How do you mean?
The contents of the pills were emptied and replaced with sugar.
What? That's crazy. I never emptied his pills. I don't understand.
Maybe it's time for another break. We'll talk more later. You're an accusation machine in there. I don't know, maybe we should find some more evidence first?
What are you talking about? He was my husband. I didn't start that leak. Violent? Not that often, but sometimes. He was very passionate. At first, he put all that energy into his work. It's why he was famous. But when he got cancer, when he couldn't work with fire, all that emotion had to go somewhere. Hey, I'm not some poor, lost, abused wife. My husband was a wonderful man who got a raw deal. If we could have only stopped the cancer, everything would have been fine. If he did, neither one of them told me about it.
Lyle said that's how his blood ended up at the crime scene.
I guess I suspected something. Lyle, I love my son, but I can't always control him. When I married Andrew, I thought it would be good for Lyle to have a strong male role model. But I don't think Lyle ever really accepted Andrew's authority. Now you're telling me what my own son thinks? That's it. I'm not saying another damn word without my lawyer.
Even if it means getting arrested for prescription fraud?
If that's what it means, then that's what it means.
Well then, I'm sorry, Ms. Levesque. You're under arrest.
Right now, it almost looks like we have a conspiracy murder between two people who didn't even know they were conspiring. Ardell and Dr. Vince.
You have a manslaughter confession from Dr. Manoto, which his lawyer will definitely try to toss. Plus, Ardell Levesque lawyered up as soon as we brought up the medication tampering.
I feel rotten about that. Child Protection Services will take care of Odessa, but who wants to be separated from her newborn? Honestly, I hope the fraud charge doesn't stick.
I don't know. I think Mrs. Levesque isn't talking because she's hoping we can't close the deal on an attempted murder charge.
You know, she was definitely involved with the prescription fraud, but it doesn't mean she's the one who emptied the medication.
It's Brass, I need you to come down here and process some evidence. Let's just say Ms. Levesque has baggage. When we took Miss Levesque into custody, she checked this handbag into property. Law says that her possessions at the time of arrest are admissible as evidence, so I thought her stuff might tell you more than she did.
Cyclopirox. We'll have to look up exactly what that is, but it was prescribed by a Dr. Vicente Manoto to a Mr. Lyle Fitzer. Her apartment's lock uses a traditional key. Only the boiler room for the practice space requires a key card. It makes sense that Dr. Manoto would have one, but why would Miss Levesque? Nice print. They don't come much cleaner than that, at least not without ink. Cyclopirox is a synthetic antifungal agent intended for topical dermatologic use.
Hey, Brass again. Gas company turned off the gas in Dr. Manoto's building. You can go back to process the pipe.
Okay, that perfectly formed print on the keycard belongs to Lyle Fitzer. I wonder if Ardell's keeping Mom to protect her son and not just herself. It's hard as a rock. If we try to pull it off now, we'll take half the pipe with it. I know just who to call. I'll put it on speaker.
This is Stokes.
Hey, Nick. Quick question. You ever remove caulk from a pipe before?
Aren't you supposed to be back at the crime scene?
I am back at the crime scene. I need to remove some caulk from a pipe. Do you know how to do it?
Okay, basically you need two things. A heat gun and some denatured alcohol.
A heat gun and denatured alcohol? You know, I can't say those are standard issue with the field kit. How am I...
Don't worry, I'll be right over.
Great. We aren't going anywhere. That was tricky. I'm glad I'm not a contractor.
What? You don't like showing up at noon and making boatloads of money?
I just don't like removing caulk. So thanks for your help.
Anytime. Good luck with the pipe.
Looks like a bit of fingernail. We might or might not be able to get a DNA sample from that depending on whether it took any skin with it. I definitely want to get a closer look at that discoloration, though. Someone cut a hole in that pipe. I'm beginning to think Dr. Manoto's mea culpa was just a ploy to avoid murder one. Cyclopurox, just like it says on the label.
Yeah? I'll bring her in.
You don't look like my lawyer. I'm not saying another word until she gets here.
I'll bring him right up to interrogation.
I've told you, I will cooperate with your investigation.
What if we try zooming in? Or out? Well, there's nothing there that would give us a DNA sample, but those growths are consistent with a fungal infection. We have a fingernail loaded with fungus and a prescription for an antifungal agent made out to Lyle Fitzer. Maybe Lyle couldn't restrain himself after all. Captain, we've just flipped our case on its head.
Let me guess. The butler did it.
How'd you know? Actually, we're thinking it was the stepson.
Hey,
We think he may have tampered with the furnace pipe at his stepfather's practice space.
based on what evidence? Well, we already have a warrant to search the house for signs of medication tampering. It shouldn't be too difficult to get the parameters expanded in light of this new evidence.
And this must be Lyle's room. Just a guess. We're looking for a tool, something that could have punched a hole in those rusty pipes. Probably a chisel from the look of the mold we took, but let's not assume. Chisel. Good thinking. The knife blades are a little smaller than our mold, but he might have tried using it. There could be trace. I always wondered if people actually use those things to pick their teeth. There's something on the end of it. Dr. Manoto's negligence wasn't responsible for the carbon monoxide leak. Lyle broke the pipe open. White powder. That could be a lot of things. Very few of them good. The residue on the toothpick is methotrexate. Lyle was tampering with his stepfather's medication.
What do you need?
That search warrant played out, huh?
Do you have enough evidence? Looks like we got him for premeditated murder.
And what do you know? It's a perfect fit to the hole in the pipe.
I didn't do it with my bare hands. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the guts to kill that son of a bitch with my bare hands. Did my mom tell you what happened the day Odessa was born?
Yes. He pushed her and induced her labor.
What kind of person does that, huh? Oh my god, I should have killed him right then. But my mother was about to give birth, so I drove her right to the hospital. And then, do you know what he had the nerve to do? He came to the hospital like nothing had ever happened. He came to the hospital to watch his real child be born. I bought a hammer and the chisel that afternoon. I chipped away at that pipe just enough so it looked like corrosion. I wanted to get away with it. Yes, I did. Because I wanted to be able to get away with my mother and little sister as far away from this city as possible. So I tried to make it sort of look like if anyone was responsible, it was that slumlord Dr. Manoto. I'm sure he deserved to be in jail for something anyway. I probably told myself I was doing you guys a favor. I don't know. Hey, I didn't mess with his pills. You want to know the best day of my life? The day I heard Andrew got cancer. You want to know the worst day of my life? Every day after that was a tie. So, I decided to make sure that nothing would stop that cancer from doing its thing. I'd pop open those pills, and I'd pour out that crap, and I'd pray.
You know, there was another way out of this. You could have called us.
Seriously, like my mother would ever press charges against that bastard? No way. Jeez, she was always seeing in his eyes how he changed, or how he was about to change, or how Odessa had changed him. There was only one way our lives were going to change. I was sick, and I was tired. Sometimes he'd brag about how what didn't kill me would make me stronger. Well, he was right about that, I guess. I really didn't care about anything, except killing him.
Maybe you should have thought a little bit more about your mother and Odessa. You don't think she's gonna need her brother?
I did the best I could, for both of them.
You two did a great job on this case. It was quite a maze. But all roads ultimately led to Lyle.
I feel sorry for Miss Levesque. Her life has been turned upside down. She's lost her husband, her son is going to jail for murder, and she just had a baby.
There is a bright side. Jim talked to the DA's office, and they have no interest in pursuing the prescription fraud case.
Then both Ardell and Dr. Vince go free?
Ms. Levesque has already left, but we still have Dr. Manoto in custody for tampering with the crime scene. He might not have meant any harm, but he still made our job harder than it needed to be. I'm hungry. Either of you interested in breakfast?